always had a bunch of great talent going back to, Dirk, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, now obviously Luka and Kristaps Porzingis. But, I'm pretty sure everyone really loves just to watch Luka Doncic play basketball. He is literally so gifted, basketball IQ-wise on how he plays the game. He plays it very smart. I think obviously playing, better defense would be like his next sort of thing to get to. Already an MVP candidate. I think obviously just with the team success, he'll get to where he wants to be. And honestly, not last year, this, past playoffs with him and Paul George and going up against Kawhi and all them, I'm pretty sure he's probably learned a lot from that. I really do love watching Kristaps and Luka Doncic play together, but I think Luka is probably my favorite player on that team. He is also just, I'm not going to say this many times, but seems like a very nice guy. Really, a good head on his shoulders. Doesn't seem like a kid who's going to get too cocky, being already insanely good at his age. It's pretty crazy how great he is already. But yeah, probably Luka Doncic. Sorry, Luka. Don't really know where to put Luka though as a player. I mean, he can be a point forward. He can play the three, but he can also play the shooting guard, which I think is like his true position, where the team sort of puts him at shooting guard, but then he's also, obviously, a point guard in itself. So I love when people try to put Luka on like, top 5 player in the league sort of things on player positions, and sometimes you see him in small forward, sometimes you see him in shooting guard, sometimes you see him in point guard. It's actually kind of funny to see that. Next we have here the Denver Nuggets. And for the Denver Nuggets, we had a really great season this year during the playoffs. Obviously, this is a lot of people's fan favorites. Is probably Bobo, but man, Jamal Murray obviously is a really great player. The player really has a lot of confidence in himself. He has kind of a chip on his shoulder, which I really enjoy. A lot of players like that, but I'm gonna go with Will Barton. Will Barton, another player who played for Portland, and just when he plays with a lot of heart, a lot of passion. He used to be a very high-flying player because his nickname is Will the Thrill, or people just call him Thrill. It's kind of like one of the coolest nicknames in the NBA, probably. But yeah, Thrill is really cool. I actually met him once when he used to play for Portland. He was really nice, really cool guy. That's all I can really say. Like I said, a lot of teams in the NBA, obviously I don't really watch a lot of games on. I'm mostly just going on, what I've seen. So, obviously I can say that, the best player on every team is my favorite player to watch because they're really good at basketball, but trying to go kind of off that sort of script. But yeah, definitely Will Barton. But if not, yeah, obviously, Jamal Murray's probably my favorite player to watch out of Jamal and Jokic, even though Jokic is fun to watch. It seems like every time I watch Jokic play, it seems like he's about to have a heart attack or have some sort of cardiac arrest problem. He just seems, I don't want to say out of shape, but man, that dude, it seems like he's playing through a very rough time every time he plays, which is good. I mean, he plays with a lot of heart as well. Very smart basketball player. Again, a really funny guy. I've seen a lot of videos on him about doing TikToks and things like that. So he seems like a really cool guy. But it's definitely probably Will Barton, but then also Jamal Murray, I'd have to say. And I've said it before. If that team gets one more piece, that team is going to be the next Golden State Warriors. I said it many times before, and I think it's true. They just need one more piece, whether it's I don't know, if they trade Michael Porter Jr. for a play now guy, I don't know, Bradley Beal or Drew Holiday, someone like that, somebody who's a play now ready guy. I feel like that'd be very interesting to watch. Now we're on to the Golden State Warriors. I don't think I've ever said this before on my channel, but the Warriors actually used to be one of my favorite teams in the league. I remember watching the Warriors play Denver in a series where Denver had Ty Lawson on their team back in the day, and they had Kenneth Faried. I remember watching that series between them, and obviously Steph and Clay were there, and Iguodala were there. Iguodala was one of my favorite players on the team during that time. And I remember going to California for a vacation and wanting to try to find a Golden State Warriors hat to buy and wear. Obviously, that was a year or so before the Warriors got super good, and obviously the whole Golden State Warrior dynasty everyone supports them. But yeah, favorite player on that team, 10,000% is Klay Thompson. Even when the Golden State Warriors were, the God Squad Golden State Warrior team with Kevin Durant, and everyone was like, you either loved them or you hate them. It was sort of a thing where I still really liked watching Klay Thompson play basketball. So that was really the only reason why I continued to still, I guess, support the team, just because I really liked Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is one of my favorite players in the league. He just seems like a really nice guy. He seems very down to earth, very humble. Obviously, he has a very, jokingly cocky side as well, as we've seen, China Klay and all those other videos of Klay Thompson coming out of it, just being sort of like a goofball. And I love the way he plays the game. Plays it really smart, great on offense, great on defense. Probably one of the hottest shooting hands in the NBA has ever seen, especially with obviously the 3-point shooting he's capable of. He's one of the best of all time in that as well. I know obviously a lot of people have a lot of love for Steph Curry. He's sort of the golden child of that franchise. Jamal Green plays with a lot of passion as well. But yeah, it was very interesting to see how that franchise has sort of changed from always being known as sort of like the underdog sort of franchise to now being even this upcoming year with Steph, Klay, they have Draymond still, they have that number 2 pick where they can trade with Andrew Wiggins to get another superstar player, whether it's Bradley Beal, Chris Middleton, someone out of the blue that we don't even know about. They could even keep the pick and get like James Wiseman and just run a team of Steph, Klay, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond, and James Wiseman. That's definitely still a title contender for sure. Probably the best starting 5 in the league, honestly. So very interesting what's going to happen in that team. But yeah, Klay Thompson, I would say, is probably my favorite player on that team. Next we have the Houston Rockets, and man, Houston. Again, top 2 guys, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, definitely. You see a lot of diehard fans for them guys, like all over Twitter, all the time. I feel like any social media platform, they're just everywhere you look. There's always a James Harden profile pick guy, Russell Westbrook profile pick guy. They have some pretty diehard fans, that's for sure. I would have to say my favorite player on that team, maybe, I guess I'll just say PJ Tucker, just because that's the player I probably know the most about on that team. And he's really like a funny, jokey guy. He also has like that crazy shoe collection, which, man, if I had money just to spend on random stuff, I probably would start a shoe collection myself, because I only own like 2 pairs. Actually, I own like 3 pairs of shoes. I have like my normal shoes, my work shoes, and then I have like my hiking, like do whatever shoes. So that's crazy. He has literally maybe, he definitely has hundreds of pairs, but maybe even has like 1,000 plus pairs. Maybe, I'm not even entirely sure, but that's really cool. And I've seen him in interviews talking about his shoes and stuff like that, which is something he's really passionate about. And just watching him talk about it is really cool to see. So I really respect that. So plus he plays, really hard. He's sort of like that scrappy, sort of like Dennis Rodman-esque player that team has, which is good. I feel like every team needs that sort of scrappy player, and that's definitely him for them. Now we're on to the LA Clippers. And if you would have asked me a couple years ago, Paul George used to be one of my favorite players in the entire league, definitely when he was in Indiana. That's changed over time. Just, I don't know, the way he plays now is just different. The way he acts is just different. So it's not him anymore. I do like Kawhi. Kawhi is still a very great player. Still, top 5 in the league. Still, just had a bad series this last series against Denver. But if I'm thinking about my favorite player on this team, maybe Montrezl Harrell. I feel like Montrezl Harrell, I feel like he obviously plays with like a really big passion for the game, and I love that. I definitely see him starting for hopefully a team or this team. I know he's a free agent this year. Now I don't know if they're gonna pay him a lot of money to keep sitting on the bench or to even start. I have no idea. I guess we'll just have to see for that when that comes. But I'm gonna be very interested to see what happens to him, because I feel like he's definitely still, a great player. He just needs, I don't know, not more of a chance, but I feel like he's just sort of classified as like, oh, he's a good 6 man, oh, he's a good guy off the bench, but I feel like he's just more than just that. I feel like he's just a really good player, and they just utilize him to come off the bench a lot. So, yeah, again, another team I don't really know a lot about. Obviously, Lou Will is just a character in himself. players. And my favorite player on this team is LeBron James. Wow, that's so surprising. This one I have to say him. Yeah, he's definitely my favorite player on this team, without a doubt. LeBron has been one of my favorite players since I started watching basketball. LeBron was actually the first jersey I ever had. I had a LeBron jersey, and then I had a Kobe Bryant jersey, but I think I returned it and just got money instead. I think it was like a birthday present or something like that. Someone like got me it, and that was the time I wasn't like super into basketball, so I was like, I'm not gonna wear this to like school and stuff, so I just like returned it and got money for it, I think, which is super disrespectful. I wish I still had that jersey. But LeBron in that like sort of dark blue with like the burgundy red outlined Cavaliers jersey was my first jersey I've ever owned ever. Yeah, LeBron is just a crazy great player. I mean, we all know who LeBron is, so definitely my favorite player on the team. Maybe more of like the low-key player. I do really like JaVale McGee, not because he's like a big jokey guy, but I just really like the vibe he gives off. Again, he's another player who has a vlog channel on YouTube, starting during the bubble, just like with these sideball that we talked about in the last sort of section of this video. So he just seems like a very like cool, chill, funny guy, which I know I'd really love to like be around that. But other than him, obviously LeBron James is definitely my favorite. Jared Dudley, another really funny, jokery guy. Kuzma, I feel like would be like a really cool guy to hang out with. I feel like it'd be really fun. But I mean, obviously it's definitely LeBron James, like without a doubt. Now we're on to the Memphis Grizzlies. Okay, Memphis. That's interesting. Man, this is just gonna have to be another player where I just picked the best. I just love Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray and the way he plays is just so crazy good. The way Ja plays is so passionate and fast-paced on basketball. It's like watching, a time machine of Russell Westbrook when he first sort of got into the NBA, playing with a lot of explosiveness. But he still plays the game very, like, smart, and he passes the ball really well, and you can see him start, getting more confident in his jump shot. Now, once that happens, that's going to be tough, and I feel like he will have an easier transition than Russell Westbrook did than getting a jump shot. I feel like he's going to get very good at getting a jump shot down, at least to a respectable, maybe 35% in the next year or two. I feel like it'd be really easy for him. I feel like the next sort of bigger step than that would be slowing the game down, like all great point guards have. Chris Paul, Curry, Dame, Kyrie, they all play the game and control the pace of the basketball game. Now Jamal Murray just plays the game, one pace, and that's, as fast and hard as he can, which is fine now, but obviously over time you need to learn how to have the game play your way. So, I'm very excited to see when that day comes. And yeah, he's just a really cool guy, very down to earth as well. I know when he was, got eliminated in the bubble tournament against Portland, you saw him walk up to Dame and CJ were all giving him praises pretty much the entire time they played that whole game, that mini series they had, saying how great he is, and I definitely believe it. Yeah, that's a good one. Next, we are on to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I think we both know where this is going, and that is the homie, deloading D'Angelo Russell. I didn't really watch D'Angelo a lot in college, but when he got drafted to the Lakers, again, the Lakers are my second favorite team, and I was actually very excited for the Lakers to finally get their next go-to scoring guy. So I got really involved with D'Angelo Russell and playing and watching him play and develop and things like that. So that's why I'm kind of a bigger fan of D'Angelo than a lot of other players. Plus, again, another player that I feel like definitely has a chip on his shoulder. Going from LA and not really having a chance to really, grow into, the point guard role that the Lakers wanted him to be. Obviously, with having the Kobe sort of retirement tour, and then the next couple seasons was kind of rough. Not even having anyone on the team to play with. It was basically him and Julius Randle on the team. And then finally, when that team started to get, players with Brandon Ingram and things like that, they traded him away because they thought, oh my God, here comes the prodigal son, the next coming of, the basketball gods is Alonzo Ball. And so they traded D'Angelo Russell away because they thought Lonzo Ball was going to be the next big thing. That didn't really turn out so well. Now, obviously, if D'Angelo Russell wasn't on that team, he definitely would have been involved in the Anthony Davis trade. So right now, New Orleans would be having D'Angelo Russell instead. So I actually think obviously him. They have Amari Spellman now from the Warriors, is a pretty decent player. And they're going to have the number 1 pick in the draft this year. So, deloading with Anthony Edwards sounds amazing. That sounds perfect. And, that'd be a really good backcourt for years to come. Next round to the New Orleans Pelicans. And for this one, my favorite player to watch is Lonzo. I love the way Lonzo plays. I feel like obviously offensively he can develop more, which I hope and wish he does. But he is a great defender. Obviously needs to get smarter with that, but that obviously comes with age and playing time and stuff like that. So over time he's just going to get better and better on that side of the floor, just offensively as well. But just passing ability is amazing. Defensive ability on one-on-one is amazing. But my favorite player is probably JJ Reddick. I really love JJ Reddick as a person. I love his story, his Duke story, and going to Orlando, and going on that Orlando Magic team with Dwight Howard and taking that team to the finals, having that crazy 3-point shooting squad with him and Turkoglu and Rashard Lewis surrounding Dwight Howard was a pretty crazy team. That was the first sort of the time I watched basketball a lot, was during that time with them in the finals with the Lakers. So sort of watching him sort of still being a really good player, and now with this podcast, getting to know him even more, him as a person. I really like the way he talks and the way he carries himself very professionally. He's still like a very funny guy. He has a lot of funny stories. Watching him and Jimmy Butler interact is like one of my favorite things to watch. It's really funny. But yeah, so like my favorite player, I guess, on the court would be Lonzo Ball, and obviously Brandon Ingram was a great player as well to watch. But yeah, probably my favorite player on the team is probably JJ Reddick. So that's another sort of like a curveball player, I guess. We're on to the Oklahoma City Thunder now, and for them, I'm gonna have to go with Steven Adams again. Just another big, friendly, giant guy. I see clips of him all the time, being very watchful and aware of like how he sort of throws his body around the court. There's a lot of interviews saying that he's probably the strongest NBA player in the entire league, which is pretty crazy because you hear him talk and he just has that funny, I don't want to say funny, but he has that interesting like Aussie accent, which is really cool. He seems like a very like friendly, bubbly guy, which is really nice, but can like literally beat you to death if you wanted to. So I feel like that's really cool, and the way he plays is really good. Now obviously he definitely, I feel like, needs more of like an offensive game. Somehow he needs to get some sort of jump shot. He's another one of those big men like Andre Drummond and Clint Capella, which is sort of like a dead man's game, which is just, it's so prehistoric basically. He plays defense really good, he rebounds very well, and his passing ability is getting better, but he still needs some way to get the ball in the hoop besides just, post up hook shots and things like that. That's just not the way the NBA works anymore, but I feel like he'll get there. We're on to the Phoenix Suns now, and with the Phoenix Suns, this one's also one of the ones that is like no duh. Gonna have to go with Devin Booker, obviously. Devin Booker is just an insane player who doesn't get the credit that he has because he plays in Phoenix, and he's another one of those players where you can definitely see him being traded at some point in time if they don't get their act together. Now obviously this last stretch of games in the bubble really helped boost probably the morale of the team, which next season may boost them into the playoff runnings and things like that, which is good. That may help him, be able to get some awards, all-star ballots and things like that, which is amazing. But if it doesn't, and it just crumbles again, I can really see him getting opted out of there, which will be awesome for him career-wise. A lot of people are saying they should, the Minnesota Timberwolves should trade their first pick for Devin Booker, and I don't think that's a very smart idea because you already have D'Angelo Russell and they already sort of play the similar sort of offensive style game. But I do feel like he's worth a lot, and he can be, definitely the go-to option on a championship contending team. I watch him on Twitch a lot too, which is kind of cool. Twitch channel, he seems like another really just chill, very low-key guy, which is really nice to see. But yeah, I probably have to say Devin Booker, because he just has a swagger that, he's just a walking bucket. Like, he knows he's just a literal baller, which is so dope. Other than that, DeAndre his rookie year was when the first time I ever went to a Blazer game. So I've been watching the Blazers for a very long time, and I've had a lot of favorite players throughout the years, but I don't think any player has really carried the franchise, even since, the Clyde Drexler days of, Portland. No one has ever carried the franchise like Damian Lillard has before, and I really respect that and how he sort of puts the city on the map. He very much is involved with, getting the name of Portland out there a lot more. Doing that with not even his social media status of being, Dame Dollar, the rapper, commercials, cover of 2K, but also just winning basketball and just sort of putting the name on the map of basketball for Portland is amazing. I very much appreciate him for that. Obviously, sticking around, always saying he wants to win a championship in Portland, which is great. Don't think it's going to happen with CJ McCollum here. I've been a big fan of, trading CJ for many years now, but I know I get a lot of hate for that, a lot from Portland fans, but it's just what needs to happen. But yeah, obviously, I've talked about Damian Lillard being my favorite player in the league right now, one of my favorite players of all time, and I don't think I really have to go into much detail. I'm pretty sure everyone already knows how great Damian is for the city of Portland. But yeah, other than that, I love Yusuf. Yusuf is another really friendly, friendly giant guy. He's a really funny guy, really bubbly. I can talk about pretty much any of these players being like one of my favorite. Mario Hazonia has his own Twitch channel. He twitches on. He plays games on and stuff like that. He's really cool. Zach Collins, I've actually met before. He's really chill. Carmelo, obviously, a Hall of Famer, one of the best scorers in NBA history. A lot of really great players and people on this team. Gary Trent Jr. is another really cool guy. But yeah, Dame, obviously, but probably second would be Yusuf Nurkic. Sacramento Kings, and this one is going to be another, not very original, but Dion Fox is another one of my sort of sleeper, underrated favorite players in the league. Him and like D'Angelo Russell are up there definitely, but yeah, I love watching D-Fox play. He's another player that plays a lot like John Morant, but I feel like John Morant's just a little bit more explosive and faster than he is. But I feel like on the defensive end, De'Aaron Fox is a little bit better. I really like watching De'Aaron Fox sort of go one-on-one and sort of just try to control the game a lot more. Now, obviously, they definitely need a team around him, no doubt about it. I don't feel like Buddy Hield is a really good, pair to have with him, being another very ball-dominant player that needs the ball in his hand a lot. I see him being like a lot like a point shooting guard, if that makes sense. So I feel like they really need to get rid of him. I really like Bogdanovic and De'Aaron Fox playing at the same time. They play really well together. But yeah, De'Aaron also, has a Twitch stream that I watch a lot, and he's very entertaining and funny, and another really just chill, laid-back guy. But yeah, on the court, he's just an animal. He's a dog, and I just love that in a lot of players. Other than him, I can't really speak on anyone else. Harrison Barnes, when he played for Golden State, used to be one of my favorite players on that team for sure. Kyle Guy seems like a really cool guy as well. But yeah, I'm gonna have to say him. Oh yeah, I forget they have Jabari Parker. I forget Jabari Parker wasn't he like the second pick or like the fourth pick in the draft one year and just never can really catch a break with injuries and stuff like that. It's really sad. That's crazy. We're on to the San Antonio Spurs now, and with the Spurs, this guy maybe not be the guy on the team because you can argue that being LaMarcus Aldridge, but again, like we talked about before with Kevin Love being one of my favorite players for what he stands for in the league and stuff like that. The way Demar Derozan sort of stepped out, and I think he actually was the first player to really talk about mental health in the NBA, talking about how anxious he gets and how down he gets a lot, throughout the season. Made me really respect him as, a player, as a man, stuff like that. So I really do love DeMar DeRozan, and just the fact that the Toronto Raptors sold their soul to get Kawhi Leonard and traded arguably their greatest player in their franchise history to get Kawhi for a championship irks me. It makes me feel gross that Toronto would do that and backstab someone like that. I hope DeMar gets out of there. I hope he gets a buyout. I hope he gets traded. I hope he goes somewhere where he can actually win. Whether that's with, I've seen, trade possibilities with Portland, with Miami, with Denver. I've seen a bunch of different trade possibilities with him, and I hope he does get out of San Antonio because I feel like San Antonio is a spot right now where they definitely need to start the rebuild with Derek White, DeJounte Murray. What else do they have on their team that's really good? Trey Lyles, another really young player that can help build Aldridge, I guess I wouldn't mind having LaMarcus Aldridge again on my team, or I guess on the Blazers, but definitely not for the contract he has right now. He's definitely not worth that much. But DeJounte is another player on there that I really do appreciate on the Spurs. But last, but certainly not least, in this very long video, I'm sure, is the Utah Jazz. Now, the Utah Jazz, again, I could just say Donovan Mitchell because he's a player I see a lot of more, I hear a lot of more, I watch interviews a lot of more. Obviously, what he did in the bubble playoffs was crazy. You know, one of the best, I guess, player performances we've ever seen in the playoffs by one single player, basically willing his team to at least try to beat Denver. And they probably could have if they had a little bit more help. Obviously, having Bogdanovic injured really hurt that team a lot. Then again, being up 3-1 on the team, you don't really have an excuse on losing. So they probably should have gotten the job done. But man, I don't know what other player I would say other than Donovan Mitchell. Like, he just seems like a really cool guy. Even on social media, I mean, like how he really talks himself. You know, he acts like himself, which is really cool. He has a swagger as well. I guess I could say Ed Davis, but again, that's just picking up an ex-Portland Trailblazer fan. When Ed Davis was on Portland, he was again one of my favorite players to watch, being that sort of like that like junkyard dog type player, the sort of like the heart and soul of the team when he was playing in Portland when he was a little bit younger. Really crazy rebounder. Yeah, really good defensively, but now he just bench sits a lot, which obviously, you know, playing behind Rudy Gobert and Tony Bradley, that will happen. So Joe Ingles is really cool too. He's actually a pretty funny guy. I've seen his I think he has like a purple mattress commercial. That's pretty funny. But yeah, I guess I gotta say Donovan Mitchell. I feel like he's probably everyone's favorite player on that team.